It may be hard to tell, but there's actually a trip line over there. Guess where it is? Привет and welcome to my channel. Today I'll be showing you a really interesting item. This is a booby-trap simulator, and this is meant to be as a training aid, so you can learn how to properly set up booby traps and such. Now I just want to point out that this is for legal and lawful purposes only. I do not encourage nor am I telling you to go and do something stupid, reckless, etc, etc, etc. This is something that you can use for airsoft, paintball, sports of that nature. Anyways, moving on. Let me show you what's inside here. As you guys can see, this is what it looks like. On the inside, we have one booby-trap simulator, one roll of green wire, one spring, assorted fasteners, and a couple of nails. 2 long ones, 2 short ones. As you guys can see, those are pretty simple components, and actually most of them could be found at your local hardware store. Now, another interesting point to make is that humans have been using booby traps, to hunt for animals and to defend themselves long before before we had any kind of firearms or any kind of modern technology. So this kind of simple survival skill, if you will, is actually pretty interesting to me, and I hope it's interesting to you guys. Now, another interesting fact to note is that people are creatures of habit, and what I mean by that is whenever they're traveling from point A to point B, they tend to pick the clearest, easiest path. So as you set up your trap, make sure that it's on a pathway or some kind of an entrance, etc, etc. Alright, let's go outside and let me show you how it's done. Now, due to the nature of this simulator, this is just a big flare on a remote line. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and attach it to the side of this tree right here. I'm gonna nail it in. So the simulator is in place, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the tape at the bottom, like so. And I'm going to have a string at the very bottom, and I'm going to pull it downward, and I'm going to attach this to the tripwire in a little bit. So looking at the situation on hand, I've discovered the farmost side of this trap, which is this tree. And I'm going to set my trip line starting from it. Now, what's really important is the height at which we set the trap. Now typically, if you guys keep it at 12 inches or 1 foot above the ground, that's a pretty sure way to snag anybody's uncareful jogging or hiking through the woods. You'll most definitely get them. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and set it at 1 foot. Make sure that you tie this very tightly. Now, after I've secured the end of this line on the other side of the path, it's time to hook this up to the spring. And I already made a little knot, so it's perfect like so. Now remember, the spring should be on the side where the booby trap is. I'm gonna take one of the longer nails, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna create a reasonable amount of tension on this line, so this line is nice and taut. I have a string going all the way down, and I have it attached to the tripwire, which is also spring-loaded, causing tension. Now, I didn't take too much time to hide this because I'm trying to demonstrate it, but in real life, you would actually hide every single piece of evidence so nobody would see it from the back or the front where the strip line is. As you guys can see, it's already hard enough to see where that line is, but it goes right over there. Okay. Now, I had some leftovers, and typically these are more useful in urban environments, if you need to nail it to some walls. But the general line of thumb, guys, this tripwire, you do not want to cause it unneeded friction. And what I mean by that is you want to keep it in a straight line as much as possible, thus requiring the least amount of force to set it off. If you have too many corners, then it's going to take more force to set it off. Okay, I'm going to set the cameras up and you guys can see this thing in work, actually. You see it starts from that tree
and it goes all the way right here.
That was pretty fun actually. And I was surprised myself because I didn't expect it to be as loud as it was. Now, this is one of those skills that the more that you do it, the better you'll become and the more natural your camouflage skills will become. Again, you could modify it to hunt animals, etc., etc. And this is something that perhaps I'll explore in future videos, how to catch and feed yourself off of animals and such. Now, one of those key elements is, as you're setting up your trap, do not trample all the vegetation all around that area, because even that could give your location / trap away. Anyhow, I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of video. Go ahead and like it down below, comment. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. Follow me on Instagram if you haven't already, and also like me on Facebook. Until next time, пока-пока.